Today's project is an art postcard and I'm working on 325 GSM smooth white cardstock. I'm spraying this with 3 Dylusion sprays. These are colours from the old range, but similar ones are available from the Ranger manufactured colours. And I'm going to stamp this now with a Crafty Individuals music stamp, and I'm using archival ink for this because it's permanent and the colour is manganese blue. Now I'm taking an image by Stampotique and I'm going to stamp this directly onto the postcard using archival ink in jet black. Then I'm also going to stamp the image a second time. The second time is going to be onto cryogen cardstock using memento ink because both of these are suitable for Copic markers, and that is what I've chosen to colour the image with. And now I'm going to add some colour to this image. So I've chosen YR15 and Y17, both of which are from the Copic marker range. And I just layer these and blend them together until I'm happy with it. It doesn't take too much time. And then once I've done this, I move on to the heart and then the skin also. So for the heart, I've chosen some colours from the violet family, and then I've chosen colours from the earth tones family for the skin. And if you're interested in which markers I've chosen throughout this project, there is a link to the full product list in the video description. As part of the embellishment for my postcard, I've chosen to use a die cut by La La Land Crafts. This is called Flag Banner, and I'm also choosing to add colour to this using the Copic markers. I want to add some text to the banner, so I've chosen a peg set by Studio G and I'm using memento ink because I've used the Copic pens to colour it with. And the word that I've chosen here is smile, and the reason I've chosen this, apart from the fact that it fits on the 5 flags there, is the Stampotique image is actually called Smile, so I thought it was quite appropriate. I'm now using archival ink in manganese blue to edge all the way around the postcard and deepen the edges. These are stamps by Octopode Factory, and again I'm going to add colour to these using Copic markers, so I'm stamping them using memento ink onto cryogen cardstock. This is a Pitt pen by Faber-Castell. This is the brush nib, and I'm using this firstly to ground my image and then also to add some flower stems to the Octopode Factory images, and finally I will use it to add a border to my postcard. The next step is to attach my images to the postcard, and for this I've chosen a Zig two-way glue pen, and I've chosen this because I find it very quick and easy and very convenient for small lightweight images like these. Once you start adding any kind of dimension to a postcard like this, it does make it unsuitable to go through the mailing system without any damage. But that is never my intention when I make these postcards. It's merely a piece of art to me that happens to be the size of a postcard. So it can be framed or it can be displayed in the way that any other piece of art would be displayed. I just wanted to point that out really because I do get questions about how you can mail these postcards, and it really has never been something that I've done. So obviously you could try if you wanted to, if it's not got too much embellishment, but just to answer that question and reiterate again, it's for me just a piece of art that happens to be postcard size. For my border, I've chosen to create a checkered effect in black and white, and I'm using here Posca paint pens. The white is the one that I'm currently using, and then I follow this by the black, just to show you the effect that I'm trying to get, although later I do go over the white with some paint because the Dylusions spray bleeds through a little bit too much for my liking. You can give it a couple of coats with the Posca paint pen, but for sake of saving some time, the titanium white does work a little bit better. Now I'm taking another stamp by Stampotique. This is one from Joe Capasandon's range, and I just felt that it was a little bare along the bottom and it needed something else besides those three flowers. And here you can see that I'm taking the titanium white and just trying to brighten up that border a little bit. This is some golden fluid acrylic now in quinacridone nickel azo gold, and what I'm using this for really is to bring some of the golden colour from the images into the background to make it look a little more balanced. Next, I decided to add some additional text to the postcard, so I've used my label maker machine and I painted each of those labels with a coat of matte medium prior to painting it because it doesn't accept paint in its glossy state as it comes out of the machine. But once I did that, I added some of the quinacridone nickel azo gold, and now it has dried, I've adhered it to the postcard and I'm outlining it using a micron pen by Sakura. Next, I decided that I wanted to add some glitter to the heart on the Stampotique image, so I'm using Waterfall, which is mostly a blue but will allow some of those purple tones to shine through too. And I'm adding also some rhinestones in a violet colour and a blue colour to the swirly plant-like designs that were stamped in addition to the flowers. For a final addition to the postcard, I wanted to stamp this little ladybird by Octopode Factory, and I'm going to colour this again with the Copic markers and then cut it out and add it along the top of my banner. And that is today's project complete. I hope you enjoyed watching. As always, there is a link to the full product list in the video description, as well as my social media links.